he just didn't have the desire to come to Barcelona. Joshua Kimmich will be a Barcelona player.
He's even been nicknamed the anti-Vinicius. What's up, CULERS, and welcome back to Barça Dream Team. And today we're going to be discussing Barca's summer transfer window, including İlkay Gündoğan, Iñigo Martínez, and Vitor Roque, and who could follow them through the door at Barca. We hope you'll subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're super excited about today's video, guys, so let's get started. But first, Barca have already completed 3 signings this window. Gündoğan, Iñigo Martínez and Brazilian youngster Vitor Roque all joined the club. We're adding quality and depth to the squad, and that's really going to benefit us if we want to go on a prolonged Champions League run and avoid injuries to retain the La Liga title this season.
Gündoğan, of course, is a proven winner. He's a 5-time Premier League winner with Manchester City, and he can now add to that the Champions League title too. And he's walking into a relatively young midfield. We're seeing the mantle being passed on to Pedri, Gavi and De Jong. And Gündoğan's going to bring that experience into our midfield, which is what we need with Bussy having left. And I'm sure he can pass on a lot to his new teammates. Iñigo Martínez, another player with a lot of experience, but crucially experience in La Liga. Having come through the ranks at Real Sociedad in 2009, Martínez had cemented himself in Athletic Club's back line, and he's got 12 seasons under his belt in the Spanish top flight. And it's the same again with Martínez. We're seeing a new generation of Barca's defence in Christensen, Araujo and Koundé, and Martínez is going to bring a wealth of experience to our young defence. And finally, Vitor Roque, who hasn't been officially confirmed, but Fabrizio Romano has given the deal his usual "here we go." Barca have put a lot of faith in the youngster, forking out a guaranteed 30 million, and the deal could rise to 61 million, including variables. Here's exactly what we've been needing. We shouldn't need to rely on Lewandowski playing every single game, and Roque is really going to prove to be fierce competition for Lewandowski's starting spot. Let's hope they can both bring out the best in each other. And it's important to note, though, that the current plan is for Roque to join the club in January and stay at Atlético Paranense on loan for 6 months. But that desire from the player to join Barca is what we love to see. We may have missed out on Arda Güler, but he just didn't have the desire to come to Barcelona. It's as simple as that. And in Vitor Roque, we're getting a player who is fully committed to joining Barca, and that's exactly the type of player we want.
But when you're looking ahead, it's incredible to say that we're only just over a week into the summer transfer window. Deco's come in as sporting director, replacing the outgoing Jordi Cruyff, and he's had a massive influence on our transfer plans. We've already got a lot of work done bringing in Gündoğan, Martínez and Roque, like we've mentioned. And I'm fully confident in Laporta, Matteo Almani, Rafa Yuste and Deco to secure the remaining targets that we have. One name that is getting thrown around a lot is Ivan Fresneda. He originally started off as plan B if we couldn't get João Cancelo, but we're hearing a lot more about Fresneda as the Cancelo deal is beginning to look unlikely. And it's great because I hate the idea of having to play Koundé out of position again. He looks really uncomfortable and vulnerable out on the right, and that should really be reserved as an emergency option. Fresneda's an 18-year-old 6-foot-tall right back, and I think he's going to be a massive upgrade on our limited right back options. He's even been nicknamed the anti-Vinicius. And following Real Valladolid's relegation from La Liga, Fresneda's release clause is halved, down to just 20 million euros. It's a relatively low-risk signing, and we're even hearing that Barca may actually try to negotiate an even lower fee in the region of 17 million.
Next, we move on to the pivot position, and we knew it was going to be difficult to replace Busquets when he moved on. That's exactly the reason why Xavi wanted to keep him at the club for one more season. There aren't too many options to choose from who are available in the market. We started off looking at Zubimendi, but he's looking likely to stay at Real Sociedad now, and Amrabat's looking likely to move elsewhere with Manchester United now interested. After that, the club explored the possibility of signing Joshua Kimmich, but he seems to have ruled out the move for the time being and said he's focused on having a successful season with Bayern. But after missing out on Kimmich, we've seen an interesting change in our pivot targets. Recently, we've been linked with Oriol Romeu, Dani Parejo and Marcelo Brozovic, who are all in their 30s. Now, Brozovic has since moved on to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, and the rumours have died down about Parejo, but we're hearing a lot more about Oriol Romeu. Oriol Romeu, of course, spent a bit of time in Barca's youth system, and he's got some Premier League experience with Chelsea and Southampton. And I wonder if we're looking at these types of players, these types of profiles, with one eye on the Kimmich deal for next summer. We seem to have shifted our attention to much more short-term options, and that could point towards us entering the race for Kimmich as the more long-term pivot signing. So I think getting Romeu is part of the plan for Kimmich next summer, and I'd be okay with going down that route. I really do think Joshua Kimmich will be a Barcelona player next summer. But let us know in the comments, would you be open to a move for Romeu, or do you think we should go all out for Kimmich this summer?
So when you take a look at the summer window as a whole, I expect us to spend the 20 million on Fresneda. I think it will be difficult to bring that price down with the Premier League interest in the player, and given his release clause has already been halved from 40 down to 20 million. And I think it's becoming increasingly likely that we will make the move for Romeu as a short-term option until we can go for Kimmich next summer. He is contracted with Girona until 2025, but he does also have a release clause of just 8 million euros. Barca, though, don't intend to pay this, and we could possibly include a player in the deal. So with a total spend of between 58 and 89 million euros, depending on the variables of Vitor Roque's deal, let us know in the comments down below if you think this has been a successful summer window. And finally, guys, let's just take a look at what the squad looks like for the upcoming season. In a 4-3-3, you can see that our defence is looking solid. Marc-Andre ter Stegen retains his number one spot. I am a bit worried about having to put faith in Iñaki Peña if ter Stegen was to pick up an injury, but the German shot-stopper enjoyed a largely injury-free season last term, so there shouldn't be too much to worry about. Fresneda will really strengthen that right-hand side, and I see Iñigo Martínez being excellent cover if we do suffer any injuries in our back line. One thing to note is that we're going to see a lot of competition at centre-back, with Christensen, Araujo, Koundé, Martinez, Alonso and Garcia all fighting for starting spots, so I can imagine some exits in that position. We've put Christensen and Araujo at centre-back, but it could really be any two of Christensen, Araujo and Koundé. Right back, another interesting area as we've discussed. Fresneda should be the starter. We've got our new captain Sergi Roberto for cover, the young Julian Araujo too, and I feel like we may have to move on from Serginho Dest with quite a lot of cover at right back. As the single pivot, we could have De Jong. We've seen him play there before, although it does limit his offensive output and ability to make forward runs. So I think we'll really benefit from the added depth of having Gündoğan and Romeu. The two interiors will be Gavi and Pedri, there's no debate about that. And we've got excellent depth in midfield too. On the wings, and there's not much change from last season, we will be hoping for better seasons from Ansu and Ferran though, who are looking to stay at the club. And up top will be Robert Lewandowski, Pichichi winner from last season, but it will be great to have the added options of Ansu and Ferran, and Vitor Roque, who joins the club in January too.
And if Xavi went with a 4-2-2-2, which was very successful last season, I think we're well covered there too. The defence would stay the same, but I'm very excited at the prospect of a De Jong Gündoğan double pivot. A nice combination of technicality, physicality and creativity there. And that's what you want. The pivot position is the link between the defence and the midfield. So you want two experienced players to take up that responsibility. De Jong and Gündoğan should form an excellent double pivot. Gavi, who we've put on the left of midfield, will be a more advanced than Pedri on the right. Gavi will take up a more advanced position, second striker role. And then up top we'll have Lewandowski and Dembele, the ideal partnership of creativity and dynamism from Dembouz and lethal finishing from Lewandowski. So let us know in the comments, guys, what are your expectations for next season? Can we win La Liga again? Copa del Rey? Maybe even the Champions League? So if you like this video, guys, and you want to stay up to date with Xavi's Barca Dream Team, make sure to hit that notification bell. Subscribe to BDT, and we'll see you next time. Visca Barça!